loans. So we have seen that all our agents, they are in either the listing side and the buying side. And when they're starting off brand new agents, we want to encourage them to be on the rental side as well. So when you're doing the rentals, we want to make sure that it's actually counting towards your commission structure. So before, our level up was only if you were buying or selling deals, but now we want your rentals to count as well. So every time you're doing a rental, it will go towards your closing. So you have to do 10 rentals and it will consider one closing deal. So every time you do a deal, it'll be 0.10, second one 0.20. Obviously, when you do 10 of them, it will count as one deal, and it will help you go up to level four, 100% commission much quicker. And we're going to go through our commission structure and the rental structures after we review our market report. Okay. So let's get started with the interest rates, as we have been tracking it twice a week. And we're seeing this for Mortgage News Daily that for 30-year conventional conforming loans, the average went up above 7%. So we have seen it, it was tickling a little bit below 7%, and now we're seeing it as averages above 7%. So you can know that overall market that the interest rates are going higher. And let's see our next Fed meeting, how many points do they basis point they actually increase, and see if that goes up or down. Okay. So we saw this couple of about a month ago as well, that it was on the highest end and then it started trickling down, and now we're seeing back up to that peak. Okay. Again, these are the national averages. Does not mean that that particular person will get this interest rate. It might be lower, it might be higher, depending on their situation. But these are the national averages. Okay. So just based on that 7% interest rate, if it's a household making $100,000 as income and they have about $70,000 in savings that they want to use, and they have about $200 in monthly obligations, and they're looking in Queens, and their home insurance is about 1,500, they can purchase only around $530,000 property. So these interest rates are really hurting a lot of clients that were right in the at the brink of either buying or renting. Now, because the interest rates goes higher, they just qualify for a lot less. So this couple here, maybe they were, let's say they got pre-approved for 4.5, and they got a pre-approval letter saying that hey, they can purchase up to 664. And now all of a sudden you guys are about to go under contract, and the loan officer reviews their file again. All of a sudden the loan officer will say, hey, no, you cannot purchase more than 530. So this is a huge difference. So you want to educate your clients and just make sure that they know how much they're qualifying with the higher interest rate as of today. Okay. So especially when you're putting in the offer, just verify that pre-approval letter, see how old it was and what interest rates were they getting at that time. So as we know that, when they're getting a pre-approval letter, they're not locking in anything. The loan officer is just reviewing their paperwork, their tax returns, and seeing how much they qualify. But when the rates change, their affordability changes along with it. The lower the interest rate, more affordability. They can afford bigger house or a larger home. Whereas the interest rates goes higher, they need to go with the smaller house and a smaller budget. Okay. So again, we are seeing on the high end. Hopefully, they trickle down from here, but that's what we're seeing as the interest rates around 7%. And these are conforming loans, so they're within the limits. So if you have clients that are looking for rental properties, a second home, third home, they're probably going to pay even higher interest rates on that. Non-QMs, we see it around 8 or 9, always about one or two more points higher than what the averages are. Okay. So those are facts that we are seeing higher interest rates. Okay. Even though there were interest rates were higher, this is an article that was uploaded yesterday, or actually today, this morning, that your mortgage application volume did go higher, even though the interest rates are higher. So these are the clients that were just kept waiting, when the interest rates were really high, and then they started going down, and they thought it was going to go down a lot more, and they were just waiting. They were playing that waiting game, and now it's actually hurting them because their interest rates are going back up. So if you're a realtor and you are showing people your clients or your properties, just tell them, hey, you never know when is the best time. If you like the property, make your offer and go from there. People who are qualifying, they're still purchasing the house, and you want to make them save some money when you're putting in the offer. If the property is listed for 650, put it for a little bit less. Don't go as listing price and or even higher than that. Stay on the lower end. See what kind of response that you get from the listing agent, because you're a buyer's agent. You're always representing the buyer and their best interest, so try to get them a deal, especially in this, because there's less people qualifying. Your client matters a lot to the listing agent. So when we're on the listing agent, we know how hard it is to do the open houses and get an offers. So when you're actually getting an offer, when you're submitting an offer, doesn't have to be the highest one. Just make sure it's solid and put in your offer. Just knowing the fact that there's less buyers out there for the same property, or at least there are less buyers qualifying for that property now, right? So there's pros and cons with higher interest rates. Again, the clients that's waiting for the interest rates to drop, they're going to deal with the same price increases. When there's more buyers out there qualifying for the same property, obviously the listing agent is going to get a lot more offers, and they're going to go with the highest one, right? So are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? We're definitely going towards the buyer's market. When the interest rates are that high, the seller is not getting a lot of offers. The ball is going to be in the buyer's court, so the buyer is going to be taking control over that. We have seen buyer's market, we have seen seller's market. You guys should know how to handle those deals now. Okay. If any questions or concerns, feel free to ask. Okay. And inventory shortage, that's one of the biggest reasons we are seeing that the inventory is not increasing and the prices are not adjusting. Just because I usually have this conversation with one of our agents every single day. Hey, we're about to put an offer, and the interest rates are so high, on one hand, and we have to, the listing agents asking um above asking price, right? My approach is usually put in your best offer and leave it on the table, right? But we do have to address that the buyer now, they still have issues when they're finding multiple property. They probably find one property that they really like, but they can't compare that to many other properties. When it's a truly buyer's market, the buyer has a lot more options. So according to this article, there's about 6.5 million units short. So right now there's about a million properties on the market, give or take. But according to Realtor.com, we are a lot shorter than what we actually need. Okay. So until we get more inventory out there, if the inventory does increase the way we want it to increase, the prices will go down. Okay. And we spoke about this last week too. If a seller is gonna sell their house and they were paying right now 4% interest rate for their current property, they sell this property and they want to go to buy another property, they're gonna go with the new interest rate, which is around 7%, right? So there's a huge difference if persons who's making a payment on 4% compared to 7%. So they're having those doubts to sell that property, and that's one of the biggest hurdles, that we have low inventory. Until the sellers start to decide to put in their properties on the market, we'll see the inventory increase. Okay. So when it comes to credit cards, and we know that every one of us use the credit cards. Credit cards are great, but there are, double-edged sword. There are some pros and cons to owning credit cards. You probably get those credit cards for, the points. You get, some cash back. You get this. You get that. But you know that you're paying interest rates all the time for anything that's unpaid for that current month. The good news is that the new generations are getting educated on the credit cards, and they have credit cards that are open but not being used all the way. Previous generations, if they had a credit card limit of $5,000, they will try to max out that $5,000, and they end up paying a lot more in interest. And what they received in their bonuses, or even as their promos, hey, they got 1% back, 1.5. that, end of the day, the lender or the credit card company wins. So when you're applying for a mortgage, typically a lender would want to see line of credits. So they want to see typically three line of credits. So it does not mean that you're going to be using those credit cards all the time. You should have a credit cards, but just have an open balance on it. So let's say you have a credit card limit of $5,000. You don't have to use that $5,000 as long as you have a credit open on that, and you have $5,000 limit and you're not using it, and you don't have any debt on it, and you're not making any minimum payments. Nothing will count against your monthly obligation on that credit card. And we see it many times, where a borrower is being added or co-borrower is being added, and either they have really good credit score, but they have jacked up their monthly payment obligation to the max. They have a brand new car that's $800. They have their credit card debt. So that debt that you're doing on monthly basis goes a long way when it comes to your affordability, and when you're about to purchase a property. So advise your clients, if they have credit cards, try to pay them off much as possible, pay less interest rates on them. So this way when they're qualifying, they can get the maximum affordability there. Okay. Anybody with the questions for credit cards or credit card debt? Three credit cards. That's what you should have. Every one of you guys. If you guys don't have three credit cards open, again, does not mean you're using them. Just having them open counts, and that's what the lenders look at. They want to see that you have some sort of credibility out there where you applied, you got there, and sometimes your credit cards limits increase. That's a good thing, that maybe you were using it, paying it off, but increases. What you don't want is that if you have a $5,000 credit card and you're using $4,000 and you're requesting an increase, that means you're asking for more money and you're going to end up paying more interest rates on that debt, and they will never decrease. And the statement that you get, it usually tells you, if you just make the minimum payments, it's going to take you this long to make that, to clear up that balance. So they are already advising you to make more payments than the minimum payments that you have. But then again, once you have a lot of debt built, it's hard to tackle that. Okay. But we do need three credit cards or three line of credits open, so when they're actually going to purchase a property. All right. All right, guys. So now we're going to talk about our realtors that can benefit from rentals, right? Rentals are great when you're starting out with. Even it's great too when you're an experienced agent. So rental is not just for our newcomers, but it's for everyone. I know a lot of you guys either have a part-time job or another full-time job, and you guys trying to squeeze in much as possible from the real estate license and see if you guys can make a living out of it, right? So instead of doing just the buying side, why not do quick sales with the rentals, right? So what are some benefits when you're doing rentals as a realtor? So one is the commission, right? You will get commission from the buyer or from the tenant when you're, helping them with the rental, right? So you get usually get flat fee. Let's say the rent is $2,000, and you're representing the tenant, and there's a listing agent as well. So the landlord tenant, right? The landlord agent. So if it's a $2,000 rent, half of that usually goes to the listing side, just like the buying side, and half of it goes to the buyer, to the tenant, which is you, right? To the tenant's agent, which is you. So that from that $2,000, 1,000 will go to you, and you're paying $100 for our office fees, so you're taking them $900 from one rental. This is assuming the rent is $2,000, right? So every penny will count. You can do these transactions much quicker and close deals much quicker and get paid right away. You don't have to wait, for the lender, just like the buying side. You don't have to wait for appraisal, home inspection, none of that, because it's a rental. You can do a quick sale and be part of that deal, right? You also get repeat business by helping your landlords find tenants and managing their rental properties. The realtor can develop long-term relationships with these clients, right? The tenant that you have right now might qualify to purchase a property the next year. If you found them a property today, and you give them, you found them a nice neighborhood, everything that checked off. Hopefully, when the time comes, they will use you to purchase a property. right? And you're also creating connections with the landlords. So these are the landlords that's going to eventually be sellers. One day maybe they want to move on to a different property, and they want to sell this property. If you brought in good tenants, where the tenants were not giving any issues to the landlord, they probably want to find out which agent brought in that client and give them the business to sell the property, right? So that goes a long way when it comes to repeat business. And you get referrals. You get referrals from the tenant, you get referrals from the landlord. Again, if you deliver good professional customer service, you will get referrals from that. Okay. And how about investment opportunities? Even realtors who specialize in rental properties may also have access to investment opportunities, right? Such as buying and selling rental properties, and it could be additional income streams for you, right? As long as you are building those connections, it will go a long way. And you're diversifying your portfolio. So you're not just focusing on buying and selling, you're actually focusing on renting as well. So again, the renting side, you can make a quick buck out of it. If you have a tenant that's looking for a property, I'm going to show you how we actually find rentals. But just building that connection, adding them to KB Core right away will go a long way, right? So there's another rental, there's assistant programs, right? So as realtors, we cannot say no to any of them. If a client calls you and you're a realtor and says, "Hey, I'm looking to rent," you say, "Great, yes, I can help you rent." They say, "Hey, but I have a voucher here." And if you ask them what is a voucher, that might be a problem. Just anytime they're getting a voucher or public assistance from the government, we cannot say no as realtor. We have to help them out. Okay. Either you don't do rentals at all, or you do rentals with all the programs, or not, right? And good thing about CityFabs, this is one of the programs that most of our rental agents use and make good money out of that. So just like how I gave you example earlier, so it's not just like you're getting paid $900, just to give that example. They can go up to 15% of the annual rent. So let's say it's a $2,000 monthly rent. The government will say, we'll take that $2,000, we'll multiply by 12, which is a year now. So that's $24,000 for the whole year. And we'll give you 15% of that. So 15% of $24,000 is $3,600. Okay. This is from one rental. So if you're doing two rentals, that's $7,200. If you're doing two rentals under City Fabs and you're representing the landlord and the tenant and you're making $7,200, I think that's better than selling a property. The reason being is that you're getting this done in less than 30 days. There's no bank appraisals, there's no other person involved. So why not make that quick money, right? So if you have a client and that's looking to rent out a place, the first step should be KV Core. Okay. KV Core, you would add them just like how you would add a buyer or seller in KV Core in your smart CRM, right? You're adding them when you're putting their first name, last name, email, phone number. You have the permission to call, text, and email. Lead type, you're going to put as a renter. Okay. They are renting the property. Once you have added them, you're going to set up alert for them. Okay. So when you're setting up the alert, just to make sure that the listing type is going to be renter. Okay. So when you're doing you putting in the price range. Let's say they say their budget is $2,000. I would put in maximum 2,100, and lowest doesn't matter. And let's say they're looking for two bedrooms, one bath, and you put in the criteria here and you save your alert. Okay. So this way, anything that's on the market, you will see it right away, and you can send that link to your client. Hey, this is what's available on the market today. Anything moving on, the system will already do the research for you and send them the links for the email them the links for the new property. You, on the other hand, will log in, see there's new property. Let's imagine this is a rental property. You click on it, opens up a new tab, more actions, send via text, right? And you're going to type in their name, check this box, and click send. So you're basically sending them individual properties that's available for rent through KV Core. Okay, no different than setting up alerts for them when they're buying the properties. Okay. Another feature that I like is like when I'm having a conversation on the phone with them, if they say, hey, they're not giving you any information, they didn't even give you their name or email or anything like that. They just called you, hey, do you have anything available in South Ocean Park, for renting? Do you have availability for, in Elmont, Valley Stream? It doesn't matter which area they give you. You should be going to KV Core and under listings, all MLS listing. Okay. Let me just refresh it one time. So once you're in here, you can either just type in the zip code and you will see all the listings here. You seeing for sale, you seeing for renting. So if you just want to see renting, I would click on filters here where it says property type. I would select rentals. I would hit apply. So for that zip code, these are the only rentals that we see here. Okay. As we know that the renters, all the property that come for renting goes off market really quickly. You put something on the market, usually within a week, it's gone, right? Just because there's so many people that's looking to rent. So you definitely want to be part of that. So if they're looking for 11420 and you don't see much, you can try another zip code, 11434, and you see that here, right? 1235, 36. So just like that, if they just tell you, "Hey, I just want to be in Jamaica," instead of zip code, so they just give you the city, Jamaica. You just type that in and start looking for rentals there. So that should be your first approach of finding rental properties. Okay. I want to see why they're charging this $5,000 for 3 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms, right? That's definitely on the high end we see here. Move right into okay. Oh, it's fully renovated, brand new. Okay. But then again, $5,000 now. This same client, if we're realtors, if you have a client that's going in to look for renting for $5,000, they might as well as buy a property, if they have enough savings and all the other criteria and everything like that. You never know when you have a client that's looking for renting. They're probably renting it out for some time and now they're ready to move forward with purchases, right? So you never want to say no to renting. Okay. So this is in KB Core under listing. If you guys are comfortable with your Stratus here, if you go to listings, search, and if you click on rentals, so in here, you see that's why KB Core is so easy. You just type in your zip code or area, it will search for you. And here you have all this information here. But what you just need to do is just type in the zip code up here and then fill out other information if you need and hit submit. And you will see all the rentals here. Okay. Again, this should be your second approach, or this should be for those agents that's really comfortable with Stratus and going it through here. But why not just use KV Core because it has everything for the client under CRM, and for listings, you will see all the property that you see in your Stratus here. They're already coming through in KV Core. So why not just use one system for everything, but just know that you do have options for both. Okay. So again, this I'll share with you guys. This is the program that I want you guys to know inside out. This is what gives you guys the 15% annual income, right? So just like we gave you example, 15% of the rental for the whole year, right? $2,000 if they're doing it for 12 months, that's $24,000 minus 15% will give you around $3,600, right? So you guys want to learn about city fabs, you want to learn about how we actually uh, process the application, and you want to be knowledgeable enough to have a conversation with with the landlord, right? If the landlord does not know about city fabs and does not know the process, you should be guiding them, right? And you want to tell your landlords that, hey, this is a city program, it's a rental assistance program by the city, which means that the city's actually paying for that, right? Either partially or full amount, and you're going to get paid on time, right? You guys doing everything else, you're checking their credit scores, you guys checking their employment and all that, but you want to encourage your landlords to accept these city fabs programs where they get paid on time, you get paid higher commission, and the city's happy because that tenant actually found a property now. Okay. So coming back to this, guys, like, being on the buyer side is great, but when the interest rates goes higher, there's less people qualifying. But when it comes to renting, everybody that's already renting and their lease is up and their, the rent is going to go higher, or they're moving to a different place, there's always someone looking to rent. We have over 2 million people in Queens, right? 2 million people in Queens that's living, and a lot of them need rentals. So you don't want to say no to that. You want to learn the game. You want to know the process, and you want to actually close deals as the rental side. And as we said, every time you're doing a rental, it will count. Every 10 rentals that you do, it will count as one deal, and this will help you move up your commission level. We already have agents that's on level 4, which is 100%. They're only paying 5.99 per transaction. But all the agents that have already joined us, our goal is really for them to be on level 4, because this structure that we have, it will close either by end of this year or once we hit 100 agents. We have about 68 right now, and this structure here will be grandfathered in for all the agents that already joined us, and we want you guys to be on 100%, right? So be on the rental side, and get some deals done on that. Questions, concerns, how to get started? Has anybody did rentals before? So what was the issue? What step were you on? Did you go show the property, put in the application? Hmm. Yeah, I mean, just like the bar sides, we're gonna see a lot of negativity where we cannot make things happen, even from the buying side or the renting side. Our thing job is to just look for more. Let's go to the next batch of clients that you can get, next batch of leads, and just try to work them, because you never know when they will turn into profit and they give you some money, commission based. So just like, especially the Facebook leads and YouTube lead, not YouTube, Google leads that we get. Usually they're like 2 out of 10 of them are solid. Usually 8 of them are not. That's just the approach. Just with Zillow too, even though people are actually going to Zillow to find properties, even those leads that we're getting from the mortgage side too, they're not the most solid. But at the same time, we just want to keep in touch with them. You never know when they convert, but you just don't want to be discouraged if you have that experience, right? And how about Tracy? I think you were doing some rentals yesterday. How did that go? Mm-hmm. Perfect, perfect. So yeah, and how was that process? Did you get that? How did you get that client, or how was the process for you? Okay. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, and like I said, once you, if you're treating them well now, like showing them multiple properties and everything, you're building that, they're gonna be in your database forever. As long as you're, keep staying in touch with them. When the time comes to purchase, hopefully they do come back to you, and you can show them and make that, transition. So keep at that, right? And how about any of you guys did any city fabs or any city programs so far? Not yet, right? So yeah, that's what we want to.